Hi everyone, my name is James Feeney. Welcome to or back to my channel. I just filmed my depth year guidelines and goals. So I seem to always do two videos at once, and this is no exception. So I still have the same coffee, which I have not had enough of, and I should probably drink a little faster before it becomes like super diluted. But I want to talk about some decks that I plan to work with in 2020. I'll almost call this, I'd say, my tarot goals, because they are oriented in a more regimented, study-based way. So in working with these decks, all of them have some aspect of reading material associated with them that is a little bit more dense and heavy in nature. So this is not, say, everything, and it's very much subject to change, and there may be more books on given topics that are spurred from having like worked with the one deck or the one book. So this is really just a very vague forecast from where I'm at right now, and I hope that this can be maybe an inspiration for you guys, or the opportunity for you guys to let me know what you're working with. I'd love to, because I'm always looking for ideas and inspiration myself. And I know that I've watched, oh my god, Dawn Michelle's video about working with, like, what she wants to work with in 2020, and I've seen a few others. So I thought I'd hop on and share my own, and I found the others that I've watched pretty inspiring and cool, and it gives me like a taste of like what that person is trying to bring into their life in 2020. So I think that that's really interesting. Without further ado, I'm gonna jump in. So for our first guy here, wait a second. I have, and this is one that I actually studied for like half of 2019 already, but I took a break. So we have the Spirit Keeper's Tarot Vitruvian edition. I've talked about it. It was in my 7 guides. No, 7 council members, Council of 7. It was also in my top 5 for the year, and I've been working with it quite a bit since I got it this past summer, and I'm about 12 weeks into the workbook, so 3 months. A pretty consistent, pretty consistent. There's not enough space for me, so I end up putting post-it notes over when I need more room. But I've been really consistent. I was really consistent for 12 weeks, and then I fell off just due to like a little bit of travel and then becoming sick. So I've had like a month or 2 off from this after the first 3 months, but I want to wrap it up. I know that there's, 22 weeks? So 12 down, 10 to go, I guess. I'd love to finish it. I've done part of the coloring. I've read the Book of Maps. I've read the medium white book, so that's pretty much done. So I wouldn't say that this is something that's going to take a lot of 2020, because I've pretty much done more than half of what I would consider my full thorough study of this deck. But just finishing that up and working with it more, although I've worked with it quite a lot this year. But that's the first one, and yeah, and I'm sorry, I'm starting with that one, and I know that there are a few decks. How many? There are 2 decks in here that I know aren't accessible to those who don't already have them, or that'll be really difficult to get, potentially, for people who don't already have them, so I'm really sorry about that. I got that one out of the way, and I will do the next one. I'll make the next hard to get or out of print deck next, so that way if that's something that you're just trying to like get past, fast forward past the next one, and then we'll be into decks that you can easily, or not easily, but you can get your hands on readily. So the next one is, and this one's just really fun. There's not a ton of reading material and study here, but it's more so just like what I'm hoping to gain for myself based on my initial feelings and my first couple weeks in working with it, and it's the Elemental Tarot. Yeah, Elemental Tarot by Carolyn Smith and John Astrop. The Spirit Keeper's Tarot, I think you guys all know, is by Benabel Wen. Yeah, art, like all of that is Benabel Wen, so yeah. But the Elemental Tarot, and I know this one's been out of print for a while, I think, and I know that I did actually speak to I did speak to Caroline when I got my deck, because you could buy them from her website, she had some original copies. They were a little bit more expensive, so just be warned. But she did say that they were going quickly, and last I heard, there wasn't many left. So they might already be fully out by the time that I'm posting this. But I know that this is one that can be harder to find because it has been out of print for a while. So I'm sorry. But there's this book, and it's here. I'll show you the cards. What am I doing? Silly me. And I did not even show any of the Spirit Keepers Tarot cards. So I'm sorry. But I think that you can find a lot on the Spirit Keepers Tarot, so there's a lot of great walkthroughs and flip-throughs. I never know how to hold these cards, so I'm sorry, guys. So it's very, like, primal. It reminds me of, like, cave drawings, or, like, something that's almost, like, Mesopotamian, like, the origins of humanity. It's definitely inspired based on the names of, like, the various gods and goddesses and beings. I think it's more North African, Mediterranean area. I could be mistaken, but that's a lot of the influences that I'm seeing right now, based on just a cursory look. So all of the minors, well, you'll see there's a lot of symbols. You get planetary symbols, you get like planetary astrological. There's some that are there's other symbols too. The book goes into all of that, so it's not even like necessarily fully traditional tarot symbols, like how we would connect astrology to tarot. There's also more to it. So some cards have a ton of symbols on them, linked to various things that the book goes into. All of the minors have, here, wait, this is a major, and I'm going to talk about a major, so I'll just leave this. Oh wait, there's strength. Well, here, I'll just say the majors first. They all have a key word, I should say, or like they are kind of all renamed, and then they all have these like quotes along the side, and it almost represents like the complexity and duality of whatever the major is. So this is the Chariot card, which is called Victory, Ambition, and it says, "I am compassionate and I am cruel. I am the one who is praised and the one who is despised." Some of them are really great. Here's Strength, and Strength is associated with health, and we see the various symbols. It says, "What you see outside, you see inside you. It is visible, and it is your garment." So like within, without sort of thing. Then there's like the courts are really cool. Like there's mother, father, son, and daughter, and all of the minors that are not court cards, well, all of them have like almost like a being, spirit, or god type figure associated with them. And then if it's a court, it'll tell you the court name, and if it's just a minor, there's a key word. So the being would be Hino, and meteor is the word that gets associated with the card. And then you see a bunch of symbols. You see the elemental symbol at the bottom. So there's just a lot here to sort of dig into, and I'm really loving it. It's evoking a lot of feelings for me and thoughts. So this one for me is something that I'm very curious to do more work with. The book is actually, I would almost expect it to be bigger and thicker, but I feel like there's also a lot that you can do on your own. Death, and what does that say? I love these little side things. They're like so cool to me. It says, "I am the one whom they call life, and the one whom you call death." Let me find a bunch of them, because I've just now, okay, wait. The High Priestess is called the Virgin, and her keyword is receptivity. And her thing, her phrase, her like almost dual phrase is, "I am shame and I am boldness. I am shameless and I am ashamed." There's just so many awesome ones in here. So I'm absolutely loving that one. Looking forward to getting to know it better in 2020. If any of you have worked with this or like this deck, let me know. And if you're looking to work with it, head over to, just try, like if you literally just Google it, it should come up as one of the first things. But I'm really hoping that there's still some available for people who maybe want it. and if not, I'm really sorry. And I know I've seen some on like eBay and Amazon. They tend to go for a little bit more, but sometimes you can probably get one that's not too expensive. And then, here, we'll do this one next. I'm putting these two together. They're both the Alchemical, well, there's the Alchemical Tarot Renewed 4th edition by Robert M. Place, and then the Alchemical Tarot of the Magnum Opus by Robert M. Place. This one I featured in my 7 guides, so you guys know I really like this one already, and I've worked with it quite a bit. So that is the case. But I would say, yeah, they're both, this is basically just distilled down a lot more artwork-wise. It's more minimalist. It really just takes the key symbols. All of the majors are renamed to alchemical processes, so that's really cool. Yeah, this one's just very stripped down, bare bones, in a way that feels refreshing and almost enlightening. This one has more detailed artwork, a little bit of a different style, but you can see the connections, and the main symbols from this will appear in the cards on this. This one I just happen to favor visually, and I think that the renamed majors are really cool as well. And this one you don't quite get that, I don't believe. Let me double check. And I should be showing you guys a couple cards. I'm sorry for that. Let's see, no, we do not get that. Yeah, here. Yeah, the Chariot is just the Chariot, but you get all the main symbols. You get a lot going on in these cards, and for somebody who really likes a lot of imagery to play with, this one will probably be better suited to you. I'm just having a lot of trouble flipping through these, sorry guys. The Lovers, the Empress, let's show like a minor, the 7 of Swords, and they're all highly connected to alchemy. Within, there's not much that you have to look for in order to get that sense. The cups are really cool because they're all these sort of like vase, pottery, ceramic type things, and I just find those really awesome. I don't know, something about them catches my eye. And I'll show you a few cards for comparison with the Alchemical Tarot of the Magnum Opus, which I tend to favor a little bit. Yep, that's the guidebook. So you'll see the star, and that's called baptism. I believe that's a star, yeah. And you get like the 6 of Cups, and it's just like the life cycle of a flower and all that goes into it. Trying to find some really interesting ones. Like, as you see, they're very minimal. You still get a scene. I wouldn't even call them pippish. I would say that this is like one of the most pippish cards, but all of them are entirely unique. I mean, it has the eye, and it's meant to make you sort of question, say, like that awareness and the deception and illusion that comes with the cups and the 7s. The 7 of Cups, I should say, but like the pairing of the numeral, yeah. But yeah, here we have the Chariot called Sublimation, and we saw the Chariot, I believe, in the Alchemical Tarot, the 4th edition one. So you can see, yeah, the basic symbols are there, but it's really stripped down. So I like that a lot about it, and I just tend to like that one more. But I think for study purposes, I would like to have there's like the normal 4th edition available. But I do think that, as I already have done, I'm going to just continue to really use the Alchemical Tarot, the Magnum Opus, and I don't think that just the normal Alchemical Tarot is going to be one that I use a ton, but I find a lot of use in it, I should say. And along with that is the massive, by Robert M. Place, of course, the Tarot, Magic, Alchemy, Hermeticism, and Neoplatonism. I can never say that. It's a thick one. It's a really chunky book. I've skimmed it and used it for reference so far, but I haven't fully read it, and I'd really like to get into that. There's a lot here. If you're out there and you've read it, let me know what you think. I've gotten a taste, and I've gone through and picked some bits to kind of digest, but I'd really like to just cover it in 2020. So that's a goal. Well, not a goal. I think I'm going to accomplish it in April, actually. I'm attending an event with Robert M. Place in New York. I'm fortunate I live not too far from New York, so he announced that he was doing something at the the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and we're getting to see, like, I had to sign up for it and you pay for it, and it's a small group, but we get to see some historical tarot artwork, and he talks to us about stuff, so I'm really excited for that, and I'd really like to actually get this done before then. I have have one of his other books. He has a bunch of books. I have the Tarot, History, Symbolism, and Divination, and I've read most of that. I definitely want to have both like that in my head, so I might reread that and then fully read this, just so like I feel like I have a better grasp on his background. I'd really like to have the Buddha Tarot, which I know is he's made, and the book for that, but those go for so much money online, it's ridiculous. And I almost got one, and then the buyer, I think, had it underpriced, and I was like, oh, this is so great, but I waited a few days, and then I went back to get it, and they had jacked it up like over 50% or over 100% to like something crazy. And I remember I like sent a message and I was like, oh, can I get that? Is it possible to get it for the original price I saw a few days ago? And I did not get a nice comment back. So yeah, but he did say that apparently, I think it's Schiffer has picked up the Buddha Tarot. So hopefully they'll also publish that big bulky full-size book, which I'd really like. Not exactly a fan of the Schiffer cardstock, but for the artwork, of course, I'm sure I'll when it comes out. I believe it's either 2020 or 2021 that I think it's slated to come out, or be re-released. So yeah, anyway, long story short, the Alchemical Tarot and Robert M. Place, where that's concerned, that's a big area of study that I want to embark on. At the end I'll mention one that I actually don't have yet, but I've pre-ordered. But for now, we're gonna go into basically the last one, which is, and this is one that I've also already started. So like, yes, like Spirit Keeper's Tarot, which I spent a lot of 2019 on, and I'm almost really wrapping it up in 2020. This is one I've been working at heavily for the past month, so this will also be one that's going to be more so, I imagine, the beginning part of 2020. And I've seen a lot of people recently get into the Thoth Tarot, and I think that that's awesome. So I'm like really watching their videos and looking forward to like what everybody has to say, because now it feels like it's like revived or revitalized, and so many people have really awesome comments to make about it and findings. And I am someone who will sit on YouTube forever and watch these interesting people have these marvelous insights that I would never have. But yeah, no, the Thoth Tarot. Originally, I mean, I got the smaller version of this, which I still have and I think is great, and I'm gonna probably use that one for like travel, like if I'm ever bringing it somewhere. But I remember I had the small version. I got it months and months ago, maybe maybe almost a year ago, and I thought I was like, oh, I want to study this, blah blah blah. I got the Book of Thoth with it, and I never did, and I kept flipping through the cards, and I was just like, something like wasn't hitting me. And I knew I wanted to study it, and then actually what made me study it was saying like, okay, maybe for like study purposes it would be nice to have it in a larger size, because the book goes really into the deep. Why am I not showing you guys these cards? I'm so sorry. Well, it's in a weird order now because I'm studying it, so like actually it's probably not the best to even show, but I have the book. The guidebook fell, but I have like the majors separated and the minors, and I'm sure you guys can see so much on this deck, so this isn't really one that's like I'm pressed to show images for, I don't think. But yeah, I've been reading the Book of Thoth. The bigger version, I would say, if you're looking to get into it, is easier with the symbols. It's like considerably larger, and it's just nice to have for study. I kind of like the way that it looks and feels by comparison to, sorry, the batteries even lower, we might die here. No, we won't. But yeah, I've been reading the Book of Thoth. I'm like halfway. It's an easy read, I would say. Please don't be intimidated. I know that there's a lot out there of like, and I was not victim, but I was somebody who also just didn't really dive in, partially out of fear and intimidation of what I'd heard in regards to the Book of Thoth and the Thoth system. But finally, my curiosity gave out. I saw a lot about it, just like it kept appearing, and I just went through with it, started the book, and it's a lot easier and like a nice read than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be dense and textbooky. Not at all. Super conversational. There's a lot of myths. I think it's so interesting when the symbols are explained and when they have multiple meanings. It's not dry. There's almost like a bit of wit to it. I would say that the language is slightly different given the time period, although it wasn't written super long ago. There's like just the way of speaking is a little bit of an adjustment. I would say, yeah, the vocabulary is like, it's not one that you can just breeze through like a quick, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like common novels, like a James Patterson novel, I don't know. It's not something you can just breeze through, but it's not super intimidating and it's not super difficult, or not as much as I thought. So if that's something that's holding you back, fear not. I would say go for it and you might be pleasantly surprised. Of that vein, I have another deck, and I'm just considering this under the Thoth studies. Let me get this back in the box. This is a deck that I recently acquired and I'd wanted for like a year or so, but I just didn't go through with it, and I told myself I wouldn't until I actually buckled down and started studying the Thoth system more heavily, because I didn't want it to be a waste and something that would just sit there and that I just would keep telling myself. And that is, oh my gosh, the Tabula Mundi Tarot, and this is the book Liber Mundi, by M.M. Malene. So she wrote the book, I believe she did the deck. I could be wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong. This one's really an awesome deck. Let me get this out. It comes with like this nice, like, ribbon-bound book. I know this is, I've seen this one a few times in a few places. It's such a beautiful deck. Here, let me get this out without like throwing them everywhere. You get a card for the Tree of Life, and there's like these like reflective holographic backs that are so beautiful. So you get that extra card in there, and here. I did purchase the extra card, so the deacon, so you get one for each sign, and there's, amongst the extras, there's also an additional lust card, I believe, and it comes with like a little signed thing. It's just like, there's so much attention to detail here, but they're just beautiful cards. I'm sure you guys can see like reviews on these. It's essentially just the Thoth, but a different take on it. Or not like a different take, I should say, but just different artwork, or like the way that she sort of sees it and wanted to express it. And there's a lot here. I've heard the book is wonderful. I've only really used it for reference a tiny bit in the past few weeks. And I want to, again, just like the Robert M. Poyce book, I'd like to just read it cover to cover after I'm fully done with the Book of Thoth, which I hope to finish within like a week or so. But they're just really beautiful. I think that the original Thoth deck is beautiful, but I would say that this is just easier for somebody. Well, I don't know. I feel like just going into any like deck system, you really need the original one, like what it's based on, and you should really have like, for me, not saying you're wrong if you don't, but to have that foundation with that deck so that you understand the full root and origin and the system. But after that, it's fun to find something, and there aren't as many, I should say, Thoth inspired decks out there that I really like, and this was like the one that I thought was like just like I was head over heels for, even before I knew I wanted to study Thoth. So it's absolutely stunning. Oh, I think the vacuum's running, sorry guys. But yeah, it's absolutely stunning. It's just a wonderful, wonderful work of art, and there's so much more to it than that. But yeah, and it's just like really high quality. There's so much attention to detail. You get a really big art card with it. I think I have mine right over here, so I'll show you guys if I can get that out. It comes in, I'm going to drop things, hopefully not. You get like a really big art card. So I got the Chariot. I think in a lot of ones that I've seen, people got the Chariot, so I think that that's common. I think at one point or another there was ones with this back, or that you actually could get a deck this size. I could be wrong. Came in like this really, like there's so much attention to detail. Like this envelope is like a waxy material stamped with this, and like this is where the card came, and it's just like I was like blown away with what was included and how it was. So there, yeah, that does make a difference to me. And that was just something that I knew that I wanted for a really long time, and I'm happy that I have it and we'll be studying it. Or like, I would say it will just kind of be an add-on to my Thoth studies. The final one, oh yes, this is the one that I don't have. It is the Mysteries of Mary Tarot, and I've seen so many wonderful people working with that the past couple of months. I'm trying to think of a few. I've seen it like especially on Kasha's channel at Tarot Map, and it really was just like, I don't know, not a light bulb, but something that was tugging at me since I'd started my spiritual studies and such. For anybody that doesn't, well, I don't know how anybody would know necessarily, but I was raised Catholic. I like went to church and like Sunday school and had a baptism, communion, even a confirmation when I was like 14, where you get like you pick a new middle name or an additional middle name. So I did all that stuff, and I didn't really ever resonate with it, and I don't think I ever necessarily will in the traditional sense. And there was, of course, like, I mean, in my teenage years and early adult years, I would just like, it's not like I ever had a family that would go every Sunday or anything like that, but I would refuse to go, and just if ever there was like prayers at dinner, I just would refrain. Which was like, I don't know, I wouldn't say it was like awkward ever really, but maybe there were a few times where it wasn't. But my family's really great and respectful, and I explained my position and how I just wouldn't feel comfortable. I would feel a bit hypocritical in doing something or going through with something that I actually didn't feel I believed in. So they were great with that. I sit here as I'm like wearing a cross. This was like, I mean, this was, I think my grandmother gave this to my dad, so I don't know, I just have it and I wear it. But I do have things that are like Catholic oriented. I have my rose on one of my altars. I do have my rosary from my communion when I was 8. Things like that. So I'm just like, I guess that's more of like wanting to now, from where I stand, investigate and really, now that I'm like actually interested in things like theology and just understanding different belief systems and religions, and having kind of found my footing, I'd like to just dip my toes back in from where I stand now and have fun with it, and know that I can interact with it in any way that feels right for me, and that I don't need to necessarily be Catholic or to be Christian, or to go about it in a way that is traditional, or yeah, like nobody has rights to those beliefs, and not beliefs, but just like the archetypes or the workings or the prayer, like all of that, anything that's under that umbrella. Nobody has the right to that. We have, as people, the option and the right to interact with it and feel whatever way we do about it. And I just think that there's something really cool about that. So I'd love to, I have some plans to maybe interact with those sorts of symbols and study them more now. Having like, I mean, I studied them when I was young, I had to, but now that I'm in the place that I'm in, going back and looking again at them from my new vantage point, or from time forward. Yeah, so that would be the last one, and I know I'm getting that one in January. I placed the order last month, so I believe I placed it in late November. Yeah, because they were out of stock, the Mother Mary Tarot, and so it's coming in January. So that's one that is going to be part of that, but there's other things that are going to be part of that that aren't tarot related. But yeah, just so you guys know. Anyway, this was a bit long. Sorry. I hope you all are having a wonderful, well, I'm filming this on Christmas or Christmas Eve. I'm not sure when I'm going to actually post it, but I hope you guys are having a happy holiday season if you celebrate whatever it is that you celebrate. I know we're in the midst of Hanukkah as well. Yeah, until next time, guys. Bye.